I will stop here.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Can I just raise my concern about your 25.1, the affidavit? Even allowing for your explanation that you didn't look at the documents, so you never saw this advert. You relied on a briefing from your investigators and had no reason to doubt them, even allowing for that. The difficulty that I have with your 25.1 is that at the time that you prepare this affidavit,
Commissioner.
is that at the time that you prepare the affidavit for the commission, you now have the full set of documents. You have the docket, you as you prepare, and I must again assume that you prepped for this. You didn't rely on briefings when you came here. You looked at the documents, what they say, how did we get to those decisions, what were we relying on, because you know that you're going to be asked questions about this. And if that's what you did, I have a difficulty that you still represent what you state in 25.1. When your dockets, when your documents, all your documents that you requested were collected by your investigators are now all before you. You are coming to the commission and you still repeat the statement in 25.1, which as Commissioner Khumalo has shown you, it's not supported by the documents that are in your own dockets. And it leads me to one of two possibilities, that as you come to the commission, you come prepared to continue a narrative that is not based on any evidence that was before you, properly placed before you, and underlined properly placed before you, for purposes of your decision then, but also for purposes of your preparation here. Notwithstanding that you're prepared to continue that narrative, the alternative is that you did not do the necessary preparation to be able to give us full comprehensive answers. Otherwise, you would not have said to us in that paragraph that she was appointed as a result of manipulation of processes, and everywhere else in your affidavits where you continue that line. Which one is it of the two? And maybe there's a third. You can give a third.
Yes. In my preparation, and in hindsight, I should have corrected it. I just didn't correct it. I knew that I would be asked and be given an opportunity. In hindsight, Commissioner, not perhaps, in the manner in which the question is posed, the correct thing would have been rather remove these paragraphs and or insert a different view.
And when you came to testify and prepared for it, did you have any difficulty with the idea that you will come here and you will not defend the indefensible now that you have the benefit of preparing and having had the evidence of for example, Colonel Pareachi, very importantly, and I think I expect that on the back of listening to Colonel Pareachi's evidence, you went about to do your own investigation. You asked questions based on whatever you were following. You asked questions to the right people. Did you have, and I ask the question because it does bother me that you have said what you've said in the affidavit. Did you not get to a point where you thought, well, maybe some of the things that we did should not have happened? And when I go to the commission, I will fairly concede as much.
Which is what I've done now in this process.
Yes.
I'm not defending my process.
Yes. Now, I'm talking about
I'm
when
not-
you were preparing to come here, because you're making concessions because as you're being probed. It's not as if you volunteered it. You happily read that paragraph and everything that it represents, every way that you speak about recruitment processes having been manipulated to appoint somebody as part of a capture process, which you're still going to tell us about, as part of the capture of crime intelligence for money laundering to happen. You have repeated that. Your affidavits speak to that. Nothing more, nothing outside of that, or nothing different from that. You continuing the narrative that is in the charge sheet, that is in Colonel Pareachi's many affidavits, that was in his evidence. So I ask of you, and I ask of you because you are the head of institution, I accept that in some cases you will rely on your people to brief you, right? Instead of reading documents, because you have a lot to other cases to look at. And in some cases you may well be excused, not in all cases. But when you're now coming to testify here, and we had a similar discussion about what happened in the ad hoc committee where things were put to you and you said, well, I didn't remember it, but we know there's a record of it. Here again, there's been this repetition of a narrative until you are probed, you make the concession, and yet some of the things, in my view, should not even have required you to be probed. You know, you should have come in and said to us, I've looked at this, and either you did not look at this stuff in preparation for coming here, or in my view, you looked at it, but you were going to continue the narrative because that's already what you have said on paper and in other fora. And that's why you stick to that version, because you cannot change it. I struggle with that, and I struggle with that, as I say, because not only because you're head of institution, but also you're a lawyer with obligations to forum like ours, with a full understanding of what an oath means and the consequence of saying things under oath that you had no reasonable basis to believe. I ask in that way, and it is a matter of concern for me that you have continued this way, and concessions have had to be forced out of you, forced in quotes, but had to be extracted from you without you volunteering them up front. I don't know if you want to say anything to that.
No, I hear you.
You understand my concern?
I understand what you said, yes.
Thank you. Sorry, Missile.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. I don't know if the commissioners have anything else to say, to engage the witness on in regard to the paragraph 25.1, because I would be moving on. So, but if there are questions, I think...
We will come back to the appointment issue, but paragraph 25 for now, because it simply said manipulation of process and suitable qualifications. The part of the qualifications
As dealt
covered,
with,
and
yes.
the part of the recruitment process we've covered.
Okay.
We may come back to...
I accept that. Thank you, Commissioner. We're staying with your statement to the Commission, Advocate Johnson, and we're now at 25.2. Remember, this is the picture that you say emerges from Mr. Adams's referral, and by referral, I'll use the expanded definition, which is the referral, perhaps what was gleaned from the dockets and from the subsequent A1 statement of 6 January. So I take them collectively. You say there was a bypassing of vetting processes, which amongst others manifested itself in a failure to apply for and get top secret clearance where required. Who failed to apply for and get top clearances were required? Is that Mrs. Mukwele still?
No.
Who is this?
That is the other matter that is under review. That is the matter of General Madondo.
Does this arise from the Section 27? I didn't read the Section 27 to ever reference persons within CI failing to obtain clearance certificates?
No, this arises out of the investigations that were conducted
Yeah, so,
after the 28.
so when you suggest that it arises from Mr. Adams's Section 27 referral, that's a tad misleading, isn't it?
No, I did explain earlier, and I know we don't agree, that I said I may indicate that there were a series of matters referred to IDEC in terms of Section 27 by one Mr. Adams. When the whole picture is presented, that is the investigations, these are the things that they present, and they were then into different investigations.
So then I should assume, if it doesn't arise from the Section 27 referral, I should assume in the course of the preliminary investigation, because that's all we have.
Yes,
What you stated, 25.2, became apparent, correct?
correct.
I would assume that that would require a Section 28 authorization to investigate. It is outside the Section 27 referral.
Correct.
Did you authorize investigation into the vetting and top security clearances for anyone within CI? And if so, when did you authorize?
I think that the authorization was one authorization.
Is it part of the pile you gave this morning?
It should be.
Okay, what we received starts from, this morning what we're looking at, starts from file 83280. We can skip that, 3280, and go to 3282. That's the one authorization we dealt with. And this was, that had the annexure of 12 names. File 8.
There must be a...
So they started 3282. The next should follow at 3285.
Yes.
The CJC 390. And then we had 3288. But 3288 is for authorizations in terms of Section 28, sub 1. And if we pause at 3288, so that's a Section 28 authorization, and this one at 1.1 section suggests that the persons listed in paragraph 1.2 of that document have committed some corrupt act in contravention of the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act. I'm reading 1.1 and 1.2 together.
Yes.
And this, as I read it, sounds like, if you look at 2.1 summary of facts, this is at page 3289, sounds like that it's in respect of the, I'll call it the Mukwele matter, and for lack of a better reference. The persons you have cited at paragraph 2.1, if memory serves me well, either served on the panel, correct?
Yes.
Or had involvement in the eventual appointment of Mrs. Mukwele. At 2.3, you quote the SMS, and once again, you speak of the employment of the employee and what it is subject to. Then, beyond that, at 3291, you then deal with the legislative mandate. So this is about the appointment of Mrs. Mukwele, that authorization.
Correct.
Okay, then we can move on to The next authorization, it's a 3299. And this one, it's dated 30th of May as well. This is for fraud at 3299, for fraud and any offense involving dishonesty. Statutory offenses there, once again, are in PRECA. And it's in relation to activities within the South African Police Service and Crime Intelligence. And you say here, you have decided to conduct a preparatory investigation. Judging by the date, I don't know if this is a different preparatory investigation or you actually meant a full-blown Section 28 investigation. Is that the correction? You remember when Commissioner Baloyi referred you to a similar?
That was the correction.
Is a correction, so we should cancel
Remove the word
preparatory. Okay. And in this instance, here you then authorize, you then provide an annexure of the persons who should be investigated. But that's for fraud and offenses concerning involving dishonesty. And then you, if you look at 3302,
Sorry, 33.
02 of the same authorization, it's common law offenses of dishonesty, and then statutory offenses, including but not limited to contravention of corruption and gratification, and contravention of the provisions of, once again, PRECA. And if you look at 3303, once again, this is dated May the 30th. If you go to 3304, it's the next document. That's a designation, I guess, in relation to the Section 28 investigation you have just authorized from pages, from page 3299. Am I correct? And you recall that what we are looking for is authorization to investigate members of the CI as regards their top security clearances and their failure to apply for such. And then by the time you get to 3307, those are the two documents provided this morning on your per request. And this is the application for investigation in terms of Section 2813. This one takes us back. And the next one, that's Exhibit 390.5. The next one is Exhibit 391. And that is, those are the two letters that you addressed to General Sintumule, and at 3314 to General Kumalo, Major General Kumalo, Detective Services, requesting the dockets. There is no authorization regarding the investigation into the vetting and issue of top secret clearances for the various other members of crime intelligence.
I see that that is not here.
Yes. So will you be in a position to obtain that? It's one thing to have a Section 28 authorization. It's another to understand, for the Commission to understand the basis of your exercise of that power, which would mean the investigation file must be provided as well. Otherwise, the Commission is not in a position to interrogate whether or not you exercised your power based on any concrete fact or evidence. And that becomes particularly important, I should point out to you, because in in February already, and if you go to file 3, page 936, and you suggest that the authorization into these matters regarding security clearances for other officers within crime intelligence would have arisen after their preliminary investigations. So after you granted your authorizations, and that would have been in May 30th, on 30th May 2025. You recall that?
I recall that.
So now, at file 3, page 936, is a summons issued on the 6th of February 2025. And if you go to 937, it states, under details of the matter or other information,